This is the second installment about boxing, but it's not really about boxing, which is good, because I don't know beans about boxing. This is about people writing about boxing, and I do know a few things about writing. Not much, but I do think that I can distinguish blather from good writing. A while ago in one of these, I argued that while I readily admit there is a skill to acting, a great acting performance is chiefly in the role itself, and what that offers to the talents of the actor. The same can be said for writers. What they choose to write about, in fiction, non-fiction, the theater, and even essays, helps to determine the span and merit of their production. At one time in the past, writers flocked to the boxing ring, eager to cover the next great fight. The immediate prompt for this is that I was reading an anthology of writers on boxing, quite a big book, covering the entire 20th century. And I would say that most of these authors were attracted to this sport and its peculiarities because of what it could do for them, and not necessarily the other way around. Boxing, I am trying to say, is or can be a great stage. A fight can be, and certainly has been, a huge event. The violence is there, scarcely held in check. The fighters, sources, and victims of that violence can be characters on the order of demigods. All the writer has to do is behold, report, maybe embellish, perhaps add splashes of color taken from the circus that is sure to surround the main attraction. This is nothing new. Hemingway was famously drawn to the bullfights because they offered a guaranteed opportunity to teeter on the edge between life and death. Glory and tragedy were certainties. Triumph and suffering were presented as boldly as was possible. After a dose of this, only war would suffice. War does this, magnifies, intensifies, and writers will write about war. Love can do this, and writers will always dip their quills into the hot blood of love. Love and war? Why not? Who could resist that powerful 1-2 combination? And so it is with boxing. It is difficult to screw up a great fight, all the elements being right there, readily at hand, just as it's hard to miss on occasion, an occasion like Ted Williams' final appearance at Fenway Park. It is with the event itself that the writer begins, artificially boosted. In one of the pieces in the book, Kearns by a Knockout, A.J. Liebling quotes his subject, the fight manager Jack Kearns, known as Doc. "We are looking at a bad period all around," Doc says. "The writers are always crabbing about the fighters we got now. But look at the writers you got now themselves. All they think about is home to wife and children, instead of laying around saloons, soaking up information." Or in a piece by George Plimpton, Miami Notebook, Cassius Clay, and Malcolm X. Turning from those two notables near the end of his report, Plimpton is talking to Howard Bingham, whom he calls Clay's official, in quotes, photographer. And Plimpton writes, "I asked what Cassius's winning the championship meant to him. Well, of course, that makes me the greatest photographer in the world." He couldn't keep a straight face. "Oh, please," he said. "Well, I'll tell you. I'm going to get me a mohair wardrobe. That's one thing." Many of the writers got a bump in their wardrobe, I suspect, because of the work they did here. And while much of it is fine stuff, eminently readable, I think they owe a debt, one they can't pay, one they might not even acknowledge, to their subjects. Some may hold their own, but too many are like the suckerfish, remora, that attach themselves to the great shark. One of the pieces I enjoyed the most in the book was written by Gene Tunney, a name remembered more for his exploits in the ring than his way with words. But he was writing about his fights with Jack Dempsey. Now there's a subject, coupled to a one-of-a-kind perspective. I was with him all the way.